We are coming up on the 5-year anniversary of Doomsday, more commonly known as the day Minecraft's combat update, also known as 1.9, released. If you're unaware, the old combat in Minecraft made it so that how many times you could attack was based on how fast you could click. This was a system for years, and many people got really good at it. However, 1.9 changed all of that when they made it so you could only attack so many times per second, and no longer spam click. This made a lot of people mad, and there were a few other changes as well. But the main issue most people had was the spam clicking. Ever since then, the majority of big servers have remained on versions before 1.8 to use the old combat system. Right now, Dreb, the current lead creative designer of Minecraft, is working on a second combat update through combat tests. These tests add another layer to the game, with the addition of changeable reach for certain weapons. If these tests are to be officially added to the main game, I highly doubt they would go over well. However, this video is not to talk specifically about the content of 1.9 and the combat test, but I do not think that is really important. I think the main problem Mojang has with making a combat update is that they try to change things that do not need to be changed, while not bringing in any new additions that are interesting and shake up how PvP or PvE can be played. So there are two main problems I just listed about Mojang trying to make combat updates. I'm first going to talk about Mojang trying to change things that do not need to be changed. I remember back in 2015 when the combat update was first confirmed, and all we knew was that it was only going to be about combat. I remember there was a lot of speculation on what was going to be added. Maybe I'm misremembering here, but I do not remember a single person suggesting that the spam click combat system should be replaced at all. I think Mojang could have gotten away with never changing the combat system to the one currently in place, and barely anyone would have ever complained. There was a similar situation when the combat tests first got announced. There were really only three opinions people had. Some people wanted combat to stay the same, some people wanted combat to go back to the old version, and some people thought of a compromise where you could switch between the two systems with a command. Again, no one thought that the combat system needed another redesign, but for whatever reason, that is what we are still getting. My point is that Mojang keeps on trying to change the combat when nobody really wants the combat to be changed, and that leads to huge divides in the community. Imagine what would have happened if 1.9 did not include the new time-based combat system. There would still be a few other dumb mechanics like shields, but the majority of people would have just sucked it up and moved on from 1.8. Hypixel, Badline, MCSG, and all the other popular Minecraft servers in 2016 could have been officially updated to future versions, and take advantage of a lot of new features, be able to build new maps with the new blocks added. This would have been especially useful when Mojang trying to add one-off PvP related features in future updates, like crossbows and tridents. And now, with Mojang trying to redesign the combat system once again, I bet a similar situation will happen. There will now be three types of servers: servers with the old combat system, servers with the current combat system, and servers with the combat test system. For whatever reason, changing the combat system will not work, as there will always be people who want to play old versions no matter what. Also, with the heavy emphasis of changing already existing features like the literal combat system, it does not leave a lot of room for well thought out additions to combat. Many additions in 1.9 had potential but ended up falling way short. Take for example the arrows with potion effects. When I first heard they were going to add these to the game, I was pretty excited because I thought it would be something people actually used in combat. Instead, we got one of the most underwhelming additions in Minecraft history. When I think about potential additions to combat in Minecraft, I mainly think about how it affects 5 major PvP game modes: Bed Wars, Sky Wars, Survival Games, UHC, and Pod PvP/Hardcore factions. In order to craft them, you have to go and fight the Ender Dragon and collect a ton of Dragon's Breath so you can make lingering potions. This means in UHC and most Pod PvP game modes, you'll basically never be able to use them unless they get spawned in for you. However, Bed Wars, Sky Wars, and Survival Games use a different system of obtaining materials. It would be much more easy to obtain the tipped arrows. But this is where Mojang messed up big time, as they accidentally made tipped arrows complete ass. In fact, looking at this now, there are really only 4 arrows that make any sense to use. Arrows of Poison, Weakness, and Slowness are actually alright. I think it's funny how a Poison 2 arrow literally only lasts for 2 seconds. There's also the Arrow of Healing, which would make sense if you're playing a team game like Bed Wars, want to heal a teammate from across the map. However, it took Mojang until 1.11 to actually make the arrow work, so you can excuse people for not wanting to immediately update to 1.9, when the update still had major bugs with its new features. This was also the case for dual wielding. Even before dual wielding was first announced, many people had tons of creative ideas for how it would work. You could play a fishing rod in your offhand to combo people better, a fire weapon like flint and steel to light people on fire and immediately start hitting them, a bow so you can quickly switch from range to melee combat really easily, etc. However, what ended up happening was that all of those ideas became obsolete once the shield was introduced. Shields are so OP, but you pretty much have to have them in your offhand 24/7, unless you are strip mining or something. I think Mojang really dropped the ball with dual wielding, and it just limited the amount of ways you could approach a fight rather than expand it. I think that covers it for why Mojang cannot make a good combat update. They spend most of their time redesigning the literal combat system, which never needed a redesign. Then, when they release the redesigned combat system, it divides the community over what system they like, and forces a lot of servers to stay on old versions to retain their player base. And since they spend so much time on needless changes like that, you not have a lot of time to work on cooler additions like tipped arrows or dual wielding. So those ideas ended up coming out half-baked. But now, I want to talk a little about what I would do if I was in charge of a combat update. The first thing I would do if I was in charge of a combat update is make it so that you could switch between the old and current combat systems. This would allow servers like Hypixel to finally advance to the current version, and allow them to take advantage of all the other cool additions since the combat update. I would also heavily nerf shields, as they are way too OP, and you're pretty much forced to use them unless they are banned. They have actually nerfed shields with the combat test, and those were good changes, but I would also probably make it so that after 3 hits with a weapon, they would get disabled for a bit for the old combat, and maybe add in enchanted bows to make it go through shields. I would also make tridents more accessible, as I think they are much too hard to get for what they can do. Tridents would be made craftable, and also available for all types of materials. It would be crafted in the shape of a football field goal with 6 of whatever material you are making it with. For example, if you would craft a diamond trident, you would have a diamond in the top left and right corner, all across the middle row, and in the bottom middle spot. To compensate for this buff, tridents would do a little less damage, either the same as a sword or 1 damage above a sword. Also, a trident with channeling could strike lightning down whenever, because that would be awesome. I think adding tridents, while they probably would not be used in game modes like Pod PvP or UHC, would be pretty cool additions to Skywars, Bed Wars, and survival games. One more thing I would change are axes. I would bring them back down to doing half a heart less than a sword. But to make up for that, I would bring in a new item called the Battle Axe. The Battle Axe would be crafted like a regular axe. Instead of the top metal piece being a material, it would be a regular axe. So if you wanted to make a diamond battle axe, you would need 2 sticks, 2 diamonds, and 1 diamond axe. The battle axe would do the same damage as a sword, and it would be able to have all the enchantments a sword has. However, it would also be able to be used as a regular axe, so you could chop trees and wood with it. All this makes it objectively a better tool. In games like survival games and Pod PvP, it would basically just be a palette swap version of the sword. Skywars would be slightly better, as occasionally people will try and hide underground, but it does not happen very often. In UHC, it would be a more useful tool in case someone starts to hide underground, but it also costs more to use, so not everyone is going to go for it. The only game where you would certainly use it over the sword is Bed Wars, but you could just make it cost a lot more than a regular sword or axe. A similar item I thought of was the Warhammer. This item is very similar to the battle axe, only it works as a pickaxe instead. It would craft it like a pickaxe, but instead of the top middle spot being a material, it would be a pickaxe. It would do the same attack damage as a sword and battle axe, but it could also mine all the blocks a pickaxe could. One last item that would be pretty cool to add would be a spear. Spears would be crafted with 3 of whatever material you are making it with in a straight vertical line. So if you are crafted a diamond spear, you would fill a column of the crafting table with 3 diamonds. A spear would do 1 less damage than a sword, but you could throw it like a trident. However, instead of needing an enchantment like loyalty to bring it back, you could attach string or something like that via a crafting table. You could throw it at someone like a trident, and whenever it lands, you would just right click to reel it back in. With enchants, you could have even more possibilities. You could enchant a spear to make it so that instead of reeling something in, it pulls you over to wherever it lands. So if you throw a spear at someone running away with this enchantment, you could very easily just leap over to them once you have hit them. It's like how Roadhog works in Overwatch, but in reverse. You could also add an enchantment that would make the string the spear is attached to climbable. This would let you throw your spear at a mountain and then climb up the string like a tightrope up to the mountain. I can see this being a little overpowered, but I still think it would be fun to mess around with. It would certainly be a weapon that you could use in every game mode to your benefit. Those were just a few ideas I had for new additions and some minor changes to make to the combat in Minecraft more interesting. There's plenty more I thought of like boomerangs, throwable dynamite, and bear traps, but I might save that for another video. I'm also sure that some of you have your own ideas for new weapons and items that could be added to make the Minecraft combat system more exciting, so feel free to leave your suggestion in the comment section below. Overall, I hope this video helped explain why Mojang struggles so much when it comes to making a combat update. There is so much potential with the combat in Minecraft as I have shown with some of my ideas, but for whatever reason Mojang chooses to change existing mechanics instead of add new ones. Of course, it's just my own explanation for my 1.9 and the combat tests are not working, and you can disagree with me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Fun fact, negative 50% of people who watch my videos are subscribed. I don't even know how that is possible. So you're one of the 150% of people who are not subscribed? Make sure you are so you can stay tuned for when I post a new video. I'll see you in the next video.